Blackout!
Hey, this is Chance Wilson, a reporter for Blackout Sports.
What's going on, y'all? It's Carolina's favorite fat boy, DJ Danny Ocean. 101.9 Kiss FM, URL TV, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's the homie Los from the Get Your Bars On podcast, the narrative god, and also from Pushing Narrative.
Yo, peace and blessings as always to the people. It's Adrian from Suplex Dinner Club.
What's up, everybody? It's Frank Carter here from Enforcers Pro Wrestling, Enforcers BJJ, and Dirt Sheet Radio.
What's the deal, everybody? I'm DeMarjay Morris from MLBBro.com.
What's up, boy? This your boy Gerard, Conversations at the Shopping.
Hey, this is John Escudero from Dirt Sheet Radio.
What's up, man? This your boy, Mr. M from Conversations at the Shop.
Hey, this is CJ Carter from the Dirt Sheet Radio Rewind Shows.
What is up? This is Nick LaRocco here representing Dirt Sheet Radio.
Hey, friends, it's the Red Ruben.
You know when I need my sports updates, I gotta tune in to the bro, Malik.
You know we watching Blackout Sports for all your hottest, latest sports updates, man.
And when you need your sports update, you know where to go because you already here.
When I'm not acting like a mark on the internet or walking my dog in the rain, I'm watching Blackout Sports.
Shout out to bro Malik, man.
Get with the times. Your favorite sportscaster, Matthew Malik Wilson.
And you already know we're rocking with Blackout Sports with Malik. Shout out to him. Shout out to the Pod family. And as always, go Dogs.
And now you are watching Blackout Sports.
Blackout Sports, what's poppin', man? Tune in.
And you're watching Blackout Sports.
You tuned in to my man Malik Wilson right here on Blackout Sports.
And you're watching Blackout Sports.
And you are watching Blackout Sports.
Y'all go check it out.
Tap in with your boy.
And you're watching Blackout Sports.
And right now you are tuned in to Blackout Sports.
You're watching Blackout Sports.
Blackout!
Bing bong, it's game time in New York. Put your Timbs on. Live from the Garden, homie, the Knicks is on. We got whatever for whoever. Bring your squad. Yo, fix your face.
Welcome into this edition of Blackout Sports Knicks. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Most of all, make sure you sound off in the comments. I better see at least one Let's Go Knicks comment in the chat. But got a little bit of information we need to get rid of. Salute to everybody that's tuning in. Salute to everybody on the replay gang. Like I said, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. No, it's a great day to be a Knicks fan. I don't know if it's set in fully with everybody. They had the championship parade yesterday. Salute, no violence, it sounds like. All good vibes. I've seen all the videos from it. Got caps, comments. We're going to play those a little bit later. But y'all know me. What's next for this New York Knicks team? There's been a lot of talk around bringing back two free agents in particular. And those two free agents are Mitchell Robinson and Landry Shamet. Now, this contract situation with Mitchell Robinson has kind of been brewing for like the last couple of years. People were always wondering, do the New York Knicks feel that Mitchell Robinson is valuable enough to give him the bag? And there's a lot of questions. Now, in my opinion, I think they should sign Mitchell Robinson to a long-term deal. You can't find another Mitchell Robinson inside of this league. A dominant presence in the post, a rebounding machine, not only on the defensive glass, but the offensive glass. A perfect combo for Karl-Anthony Towns. We have a stretch big who's not great on defense, showcased a lot better defensive ability during these playoffs, especially in the NBA Finals for the first two games against the alien Victor Wembanyama. But still, having Mitchell Robinson is major for this team. But the questions around Mitchell Robinson are injury. I kind of had a little concerns about Mitchell Robinson when he punched. I think he punched something. This is speculation on my part. Like it didn't get dropped by the New York Knicks. We saw Mike Brown's comments on when Mitchell Robinson broke his pinky. He didn't look very happy about it. He said it happened off the court. I do know Mitchell Robinson was having some issues, in his personal life. It was all over his social media, which kind of led us to kind of believe that Mitch kind of, tweaked out and punched something. And then when I saw that, it made me question immediately how the New York Knicks would feel about Mitchell Robinson going forward. Do they trust Mitchell Robinson? That's a big moment for the New York Knicks. You finally make it to the NBA Finals, and Mitchell Robinson isn't able to stay composed and put the team first, something that we've seen a lot of these players do. The main word for this New York Knicks team during this finals run, and even before that, for pretty much the second half of the season, the message was sacrifice. So maybe Mitchell Robinson caused that. How would that look to the Knicks front office brass? How would it look to Leon Rose? How would it look to World Wide West? How would it look to James Dolan knowing that Mitchell Robinson probably almost put the NBA Finals in jeopardy if he wasn't able to play? Even with all of that, you should still pay Mitchell Robinson. He means that much to this squad. And the other questionable guy that's a free agent now is Landry Shamet. Now, Landry Shamet absolutely balled out in these playoffs. Now, I've seen Landry Shamet has been performing well throughout the course of the season. There was times where Josh Hart would be out or OG Anunoby would be out and they need a game off. And here comes starting Landry Shamet, and he's giving you 15, 20 points, even set like a career high record with 30 points in a game this season. So the talent of Landry Shamet is there. And if the New York Knicks realize that, imagine how the rest of the league feels about Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet's only making around $3-4 million this year. We definitely expect that to go up, especially with his clutch shooting in the playoffs, shooting around 67% from the three-point line. So there's a lot of questions about the New York Knicks and who are they going to be able to re-sign, because everybody's talking about, should the New York Knicks run it back? We're not going to talk about that in this video. We're just going to talk about the contract aspect, if the New York Knicks would even run it back. So, but before we even thought about it, before we even got to the contract talk, before we even thought about next season while we're celebrating and all of that, James Dolan actually drops a bomb before the parade yesterday, talking about how he feels the future of this team, especially contractually with his players, is going to go. So let me go ahead and pull it up, and then we're going to discuss it, and then we'll talk. We'll talk in between afterwards, and we'll respond to his comments. But it's something I wanted to show you guys, because it shocked me that he said this, to be perfectly honest with you, and you'll see why. Let me go ahead and play it for you.
The finals, your time period to prepare gets really crunched. So so Leon and I met on Tuesday, and we just did the first overview of.
Is there a feeling from you and Leon, having had that meeting, similar to what the Yankees did this year, a run it back kind of sense? Or do you think there might be potentially, based on individual contracts, that while the core will be the core, do you think there's a chance that we have 2, 3, 4 player turnover or no?
First off, most of our guys are on a contract.
Right.
We have a couple guys who are not.
Sorry, I'm muted. My bad. The couple guys that James Dolan is talking about are going to be A, Mitchell Robinson, B, Landry Shamet, and also Jordan Clarkson was on a 1-year deal. Now, they do have the Mo Diawara situation is going to be a little bit weird because he's a restricted free agent. We've heard over the course of the season that there was other teams looking at Mo Diawara like he could be a gem in the rough. And the New York, ever since I heard that report, we've seen Mo Diawara's minutes trickle down. Maybe because he kind of lost a little bit of faith in Mike Brown. I kind of see another side of that. I honestly believe that we saw Mo Diawara's minutes trickle down is because they saw his value skyrocketing and they wanted to keep him here. And they understood that next season, if this New York Knicks team won the championship and they wanted to retain everybody, maybe with them looking to go into the second apron, as James Dolan is about to talk about, there could be a team out there who offers Mo Diawara $10 million to a signing sheet and they outprice the Knicks. So we kind of felt like, some of us kind of felt like, this is speculation, but kind of felt like they put Mo Diawara on ice to kind of temper that down so they can have a better contract negotiation with him in the offseason. But like I said, main guys to worry about free agent-wise, like James Dolan is talking about, is going to be Mitchell Robinson, Landry Shamet, Jordan Clarkson, and restricted free agent Mo Diawara. Let's see what he says about trying to keep this team together.
If we could bring back the whole team, right, exactly as it is, I think why wouldn't you, right? But I don't know if we're going to be able to.
Just contractually.
Right? Just contractually.
And some guys are going to get bigger paydays, and good for them.
Right. We're willing to stretch, right? But there's certain things in the NBA that you have to be, suicidal to do, and we're not going to do those. One of them is called the second apron. Cannot go into the second apron.
Got it.
But it's. But that's up to Leon.
He's making all the decisions. You're just stroking checks, right?
Yeah, I'm just telling him how big of a check I can write. Right? I'll write as big of a check as possible, but I can't write a check that goes into the second apron.
Okay, so we have a frugal James Dolan after the New York Knicks won him a championship for the first time in 53 years, even though he wasn't the owner for 53 years. I do believe James Dolan owned the organization around 1999, 2000 is when he became majority owner. And you know the story after that. But James Dolan saying that he wants to avoid the second apron, feels like the second apron is suicidal. Feels like, so basically said that he's going to tell Leon that he's willing to cut any check that Leon's looking for as long as it's not a second apron check. Here's my response to that immediately. James Dolan, cut the check. Like, we not trying to hear that. Like, you run this team back. Like, I heard a point earlier today. I do believe it was on ESPN. I can't remember from who. I think it was the same person that said that the NBA Finals championship is a participation trophy. It was him. So he had a good day today. But he made a good point where he's like, if you look at the 2011 Dallas Mavericks team and the way Mark Cuban broke them up, looking for a star in Chris Paul and Dwight Howard, but it didn't work out that way. And people were wondering, well, why did you break up this squad? Like, they should have had an opportunity to run it back. And it was another example, I forget, but just that example, like, there's been a couple of teams, the 2020 Lakers, where they felt like the bench players and the role players that they had, they wouldn't be able to replicate what we saw in 2020, because remember, 2020 was a shortened season due to the COVID outbreak. So they played in a bubble, and maybe Lakers brass kind of felt like it was capturing lightning in a bottle with the way their role players played. Guys like Dwight Howard actually on that squad, and they blew that up. And people were wondering, well, why did you blow that up? You kind of blew that up too early. Well, we bring that point up with the New York Knicks, where it was like, well, they just had one of the most dominant runs in NBA history. They beat the San Antonio Spurs in 5 games. This Karl-Anthony Towns being a hub offense, he's finally found his role. But that role is in its infancy. What would it look like if you brought everybody back and now Karl-Anthony Towns is now the official hub of the offense? Now you have 2 separate offensive systems that this offense can run through. If you need Jalen Brunson to be the primary ball handler for most of the game, if that's working for you, you can go that route. Or if you want to get guys like Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby open on cuts, and you want to use Jalen Brunson more off ball to save his legs for the fourth quarter, you run that through Karl-Anthony Towns as the hub. We've seen Karl-Anthony Towns be able to put up almost a triple-double every night, minus, the NBA Finals where he was in foul trouble. But when Cat's not in foul trouble and he's not facing a guy that's 7'4", which is able to clog the lanes for him, we've seen Karl-Anthony Towns be very effective in that role. And the thing about that role is it's in its infancy. Imagine how that role could look with a full offseason under its belt for the New York Knicks to be able to make tweaks. That Karl-Anthony Towns thing didn't get figured out until game 3 of the Atlanta Hawks series. It's in its infancy. We don't know the ceiling around that version, that format of the New York Knicks offense. So maybe bringing everybody back is a great thing. But like I said, what James Dolan is saying is, yo, I'm not going into the second apron and suicidal, to be perfectly honest with you. You run this team back. The chemistry is there. They love each other. They're willing to sacrifice. From what we're hearing about Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson is as hungry as he was before he brought a title to the New York Knicks. I made a point that with Rick Brunson the other day during a post-game celebration after Game 5, made comments towards Jalen Brunson that wasn't even asked of him. I think Chuck asked him, Chuck made the point that Jalen Brunson is the greatest signing in NBA history, and Rick Brunson immediately shot it down. No, Shaquille O'Neal was the greatest signing in NBA history, and then he added on. Nobody asked him this. He just chose to add it on. And as far as being the greatest Knick of all time, he's giving that to Patrick Ewing. And I'm sitting, you could see Jalen Brunson's face. He's not sitting there bubbling, but if you're a fan of Jalen Brunson, you kind of know the look. He had that look like, you doubting me? No problem. So the fire's already lit in Jalen Brunson for next season to try to repeat for the New York Knicks. Now, the history does say different. I do believe the last 8 non-NBA champions have not been able to repeat. So the New York Knicks would make history doing that, but let's not act like we haven't seen the New York Knicks make history all postseason long. Next season is a different animal. The East is supposed to get better. Let's see where Giannis goes. So I understand the trepidation about the Knicks trying to find an upgrade. That's been the word around the media, is that the New York Knicks can't stay stagnant. They need to make an upgrade. I disagree because I believe Karl-Anthony Towns in this new offense is the upgrade. That's the upgrade for the New York Knicks. It's a totally new offensive system, 2 offensive systems. There's not a lot of teams in the NBA who can operate with 2 separate systems. The New York Knicks are now a team who is able to do that and still be a top 5 defense in the NBA. So that's your upgrade. You keep this team exactly the way it is, if it's possible. Landry Shamet must come back. Mitchell Robinson must come back. You will not, guarantee it, you will not find another Mitchell Robinson. He needs to come back. Jordan Clarkson is going to be a little bit shaky. He kind of loses time here and there. Maybe you could get an upgrade over Jordan Clarkson, who can be a little bit better defensively. I expect Miles McBride to have a better season. Remember, he was only here for like a third of the season. He came back right before the playoffs. Didn't have the greatest playoffs, but we all know Miles McBride is a better player than what we've seen over the Knicks championship run. So we expect him to be better, him to be in the rotation next season. But Landry Shamet and Mitchell Robinson are must-haves. So James Dolan, cut the check. All right? Cut it. But speaking to his second apron point, I also thought about this. When you try to explain the aprons, it's very, very complicated. What we've hearing is like teams don't want to go into the second apron. Here's the thing about teams not wanting to go into the second apron. If you are not a championship contender, which the New York Knicks clearly are, even though they're ranked, they're like the 4th favorite to win the NBA titles next year. Disrespectful, in my opinion, for Vegas to do that. But Vegas was wrong about the New York Knicks most postseason anyway, so whatever. But the New York Knicks are a championship contender as constructed. The second apron doesn't hurt teams like that. It helps you retain your players. So I'm going to pull up this video from Bobby Marks, actually, who totally explains the second apron and why it's not scary for the New York Knicks to go ahead and do that. Because in my opinion, him and Leon met for a quick meeting. But like James Dolan said in that clip that we just saw, there's not a lot of time when you're doing the NBA Finals to kind of prepare for what's next. The draft is like in 8-9 days or something like that. It's not a lot. You just won the championship 4 or 5 days ago. It's not a lot of time to go over contract talk, what we're going to do if we have to go into the second apron. So I believe that James Dolan spoke from that point, and just, what we're hearing about the second apron, but not really fully understanding what Leon Rose can do to not only take this team to the second apron, but retain all the pieces that the New York Knicks need. And it might not be as costly as James Dolan thinks. So let me go ahead and pull up this video from Bobby Marks, man, because I thought it was a very interesting video, and we'll stop it here. You already see the graphic of, the New York Knicks. Their starting five is locked in. The only contract that you kind of need to worry about is Karl-Anthony Towns. He is extension eligible. We're going to have to see what he wants, because he could get up to $70 million if he wanted to command that. Will he take the Jalen Brunson route and instead try to have like a little bit of a discount to keep most of this team together, a la Mitchell Robinson, a la Jose Alvarado, by the way, who is a free agent after this season as well? Will Karl-Anthony Towns shave off a little bit of money to save the Knicks from going into the second apron? That's another question. But your starting five is locked in. You see your reserves here. Jose Alvarado, free agent. Deuce McBride under contract. Tyler Kolek under contract. Pacome Dadier under contract. It's this section right here in this box. These are the players that you need to worry about. Jose Alvarado, free agent. Mitchell Robinson, free agent. Jordan Clarkson, free agent. Landry Shamet, free agent. Ariel Haporti, restricted free agent. Could we be losing Ariel Haporti to another team? The Knicks didn't play Ariel Haporti during the playoffs for most of the time, but when they did utilize Ariel Haporti, it seemed like he had a big defensive stop anytime he was in the game. So I would believe that the New York Knicks will want to retain him and look to see what his growth is from this season. I do believe he'll get more minutes, more trust from Mike Brown after serving under him for a year. Mike Brown has shown no issue with giving everybody on the bench a chance as long as they're productive and they acquiesce to his system. So I see Ariel Haporti possibly coming back. We talked about Mo Diawara's contract situation. They have Dylan Jones, who's a free agent. Maybe they let him go. The Kevin McCullough, the Trey Jamison, also restricted free agents. Could that be salary that you let them go someone else and cut to help you go under the luxury tax? But here is Bobby Marks explaining what the Knicks can do if they need to go into the second apron and why it's not as scary as James Dolan is saying it is. Make sure you guys tune in.
Where you are, so here's your roster going into the offseason, which has already started. When you look at it, your priority is going to be on your free agents. And here's why I say that. So you've got year one of the Mikal Bridges extension that is going to be starting. You are $13 million below the second apron. That includes your pick. You are allowed to exceed the second apron to retain your free agents. I think there's a little bit of a misnomer as far as the apron doesn't allow you to retain your players. No, what the apron rules do, it doesn't allow you to go out and use your non-taxman level exception or trade a $30 million player for $40 million. That does not exist as far as where you are with the Knicks right now. So your priorities is retention, because if you don't retain, you will basically be spinning the wheels with the veteran minimum exception as far as how your bench could be brought back.
My bad, I keep muting myself. So what he's saying is that the best route for the New York Knicks anyway is to retain everybody. Because either way, if you don't retain your free agents, then you got to deal with veteran minimum contracts. The way the revenue is going with the New York Knicks is really hard to tool your team around veteran minimum contracts. I mean, they got a guy in Garshawn Yabusele. I don't believe he was a mid-level exception. I don't even believe he was on a vet minimum. But those are the guys like Jordan Clarkson and somebody that could be past their prime who won't fit this Knicks offense. I think the New York Knicks will be, even though in Leon we trust, I'm not saying, Leon couldn't get it done, because if there's anybody in the league who could find vet minimums that are going to fit this team perfectly is Leon Rose, a la Landry Shamet. But you don't want to tweak too much on this Knicks team due to the chemistry that they have. So with the New York Knicks, what Bobby Marks is saying is that the direction that the New York Knicks should go is to just go ahead and retain their free agents. Let's continue, and he's going to tell you why that's the case.
So let's start with Landry. He signed 2 contracts in a row. He's got early bird rights. So what does early bird rights mean? Okay, I know you guys are still stung by Isaiah Hartenstein and early bird. Remember, you can only sign for a player up to a certain amount. Contract can be 4 years, has to be a minimum of 2 years, not including an option year. For Landry, the max he can sign for is $15.2 million. I do not see a team spending that much money. I think he is in the $10 to $12 million range. I think New York will not get outpriced by him as far as in free agency. Okay, so that's one right there. The thing is, this will add up, and we're going to show you their salary cap grid in a minute.
So that's Landry Shamet. Like, Landry Shamet has played his way into a bag. That's undisputed. That Landry Shamet has played his way into a bag. But still, he's still a very pivotal piece for the New York Knicks. We got to remember, like, Landry Shamet didn't play a damn near a minute in the Atlanta Hawks series, and all of a sudden, ever since then, he's been the most clutch bench player that the New York Knicks have had. When the New York Knicks are struggling, when the starters are struggling, it was Landry Shamet to bail this team out. That makes him worth keeping him around, even if it means giving him $10 to $12 million. I do believe at this point that Landry Shamet has earned that. We know the story. I've told the story of Landry Shamet over and over again during the course of the season. Over and over again. Had to fight for his job. If Malcolm Brogdon didn't decide to retire a week before the season, Landry Shamet probably wouldn't be a Knick, if we're being real. He proved himself over the course of the season with him being a step in, and he proved that he's a pivotal piece in the playoffs. And if Deuce McBride gave us anything except for his game 4 against the 76ers, where he had his breakout game, that was pretty much the best game we've seen from Miles McBride. But if you have Miles McBride playing like Miles McBride, and you have Landry Shamet shooting like he did, not only in the regular season, but in the playoffs, that's a dangerous second unit. And he's going to get into Jose Alvarado, but if you add him into that mix, that's still a deep bench that now has more chemistry going into next season. We see what the Oklahoma City Thunder's bench look like as years go by, and they get more mature, and they get more time, and they develop more chemistry. That's why their second unit looks like it could play as a first unit if the first unit is struggling for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I do believe the New York Knicks are starting to build a similar formula, but they have to retain guys like Landry Shamet and Mitchell Robinson. Let's hear what else Bobby Marks has to say. I do believe he's about to talk about Mitchell Robinson's contract situation next.
Then you've got Mitchell Robinson. So Mitchell is still extension eligible. He's unrestricted. He is the longest tenured New York Knicks player on your roster. He's extension eligible up until June 30th for 4 more years. He will be one of the top centers in free agency. Him and Robert Williams, I would say, outside of Jalen Duren, who's a restricted. Those 2 guys and Nikola Vucevic. So he is unrestricted. Okay. So you could sign him to a 5-year deal. You can go up to whatever number you want. You have the ability to outspend your competition. Jose Alvarado, he's got a team option, June 22nd. That is when he can opt in or opt out of his contract for $4.5 million. If he opts out, you have bird rights like Mitchell Robinson, so you can bring him back. There is no restriction as far as where you can go with. Jordan Clarkson is a little bit different. So Jordan Clarkson signed a 1-year contract. He's got non-bird rights. The maximum they can sign Jordan Clarkson for is $4.7 million. It is 120% above the veteran minimum exception. Your other players. So we talked about Hakporti, restricted early bird rights. He will get a qualifying offer. Diawara, restricted non-bird rights. Now, that is going to get tricky as far as the ability, as far as what you can retain for him. If you have a team that goes out and signs him to a 3-year, $30 million offer sheet, you could say goodbye. You will not be able to have the flexibility to bring him back.
And that's the fear when it comes to Mo Diawara, is that it was reported during the season that teams look at Mo Diawara like, you know, he's kind of a hidden gem, and teams were kind of on to the Knicks like, hey, we see why you guys aren't playing him like that. But I don't know if that's necessarily true with the New York Knicks. It looks like Mike Brown wants to play anybody that he believes can help the squad. It really doesn't matter what time he even throws you in, because remember, the Jose Alvarado and Jalen Brunson combo, and I do believe game 3 or game 4, one of those games where they closed out. The game was game 3, actually, on the 29-point comeback. It was Jose Alvarado being an extra ball handler for Jalen Brunson. So Mike Brown doesn't have a problem playing anybody that he feel will contribute. You know, maybe he just didn't trust the young Bulls to play like that during the playoffs. But this coincides with what we've been hearing for the rest of the league and how the rest of the league feels about Mo Diawara. We heard him talk about Mitchell Robinson. They can pay Mitchell Robinson. They have his bird rights. They can pay Jose Alvarado. They have his bird rights. Like we talked about, Jordan Clarkson is going to be the iffy one. Like, what team is going to offer him? They could probably only keep him for around the vet minimum dollars. But Bobby Marks has said he doesn't really see a team offering Jordan Clarkson more than $5 million. Could that change with him now being a champion? Could that change? We saw his defensive ability get better during the course of the season. Could a team look at that and look at Jordan Clarkson and be like, hey, you the perfect spark plug off of the bench. We don't want you on the Knicks. Let's say we give you around $7 million. Would Jordan Clarkson take that? Does he want to leave New York at this point of his career? Of course you would chase the bag, but he's going to make dollars off of the court. So maybe that supplements what his NBA contract is going to be. So maybe the New York Knicks can still retain Jordan Clarkson at a cheaper number. But all the signs that Bobby Marks is saying is pointing to the New York Knicks being able to re-sign their free agents, because that seems to be the best option, regardless if the New York Knicks are in the second apron or not. Let's continue.
Okay. So here is financially where you are. Let's share, and we are, I know you're saying, wait a minute, that's Spurs. All right, so here you are. Towns, extension eligible. You can add for 4 years. Basically, year 1 replaces the blue, which is his player option year. I would expect an extension for him, and we'll talk about him. OG, 3 years left. Extension eligible next summer. Player option. Jalen Brunson, 3 years left. Extension eligible next summer. Expect him to get the full boat next summer. That's a different, we'll talk about that. Mikal Bridges, year 1 of the extension has now started. 4 years left. Josh Hart, 2 years left. Team option next year. If I was New York, I would say we're going to exercise that option, or we can basically go out and do a new contract with him. He's extension eligible also. So then you look at all the lower numbers: Alvarado, McBride, Dadier, Kolek. Here's your first. Here's all your free agents. And this is what happens when you add it all up. You're roughly $8 million below the over the tax, You're right at the first apron, and you're $13.2 million below apron 2. You do not need a math degree to figure out what will happen if you re-sign Robinson, Landry, bump Alvarado, and then fill out your rest of your roster. You will become a second apron team. So here's where you are financially. So what does being a second apron team mean? Okay.
This is going to be it. This is going to tell us why James Dolan might be, a little bit panicking for no reason. All right. When I heard this, kind of calmed me down. So this is why I wanted to show it to you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you like content like this. Here's Bobby Marks on what will happen for the New York Knicks if they go into the second apron, and if it's what James Dolan has quoted it as, suicide for the New York Knicks. Let's find out.
You'll not be allowed to use your, you're not be allowed to aggregate contracts in a trade. You cannot combine. You don't have to worry about that. You will not be allowed to take back more salary in a trade as far as using 100% of your trade player exception. You will not be able to send out cash in a deal. If you finish over the second apron, your first round pick in 2034 becomes frozen. There was just more restriction. The ability, as I said, to add outside of your own players becomes a restriction. That is why there is a huge, huge priority to run this thing back with your bench, with those 3 players. And I don't know if Clarkson can get more than $5 million on the open market to bring that group back, or if it's going to find a replacement in free agency for Clarkson. As I said, you've got 24 and 31. It's nice to have as far as some young players to add to your group here. Extension candidate is Towns. So he is eligible for 4 years, $272. That includes the option decline, or 3 for $208 if it's exercise. It's a monster of a number.
All right, this is the concern, in my opinion, is the Karl-Anthony Towns extension. Because just re-signing guys like Mitchell Robinson, just re-signing guys like Jose Alvarado and Landry Shamet is going to put the Knicks into the second apron. You heard what the restrictions are. Your draft pick is frozen in like 2034. We're not worried about that. The Knicks most likely will be out of the second apron by that point. So that's not necessarily a concern. But when it comes to trades, you can't double up trades to equal up to a contract. The contracts have to be similar. You can't pay out cash in the deal. Stuff like that. That's what hurts the New York Knicks in the second apron, but that's not something that the New York Knicks are probably going to be looking to do. Most likely, if the Knicks want to retain guys like Jose Alvarado, want to retain guys like Landry Shamet, wants to retain guys like Mitchell Robinson, they're not putting them on a trade block. You're looking to run this thing back. Unless the New York Knicks have a change of mind and going after Giannis, which I think that talk should be totally dead. In my opinion, your core 5 is coming back, so trades aren't even on your mind at that point. And the Knicks were restricted last season when they traded for Jose Alvarado. We've seen the New York Knicks be able to get creative. Shout out to Leon Rose. We've seen the New York Knicks be able to get creative in order to trade players and get players that they need while under the first apron, which kind of has a little bit of the same restrictions, except you have like a mid-level exception to kind of play around with. Not having that will help if it's like a big-time free agent that you need, like a solid rotation player that makes around like $8-9 million. Those are usually who you give the mid-level exception to. But if that player is not out there, and the way this New York Knicks bench has played, the New York Knicks can retain them. It just depends on, we'll get to that. We'll finish out with Bobby Marks, and then we'll get to the main point. I don't want to give you guys too much. My bad. Here's Bobby Marks to close us out.
I mean, it will bite you in the ass down the road. You are going to need to extend him. It's going to be, is he going to negotiate as far as what that extension is, or is he going to say, I want the full amount? Robinson, McBride, Josh Hart, 4 for $131, starting on August 10th. Kolek, Alvarado. Team needs combo big interior rim protector shooting from the bench, of course. And then listen, I love the fans afterwards with the Bridges picks. You're still in pretty good shape with your picks. I know you owe a 27, 29, 31 unprotected to Brooklyn and 28.
This is why I said F them picks when I heard about the Mikal Bridges trade. Knicks fans, y'all panic. We all right. He about to explain why. Let's relax.
Swap, but as I said, you have that 2 in the top 31. You have you can trade your 33 if you want. You can swap in 27, 29, and 31, and you've got 7 seconds available to go out and do something if you wanted to. So all in all, welcome to the second apron. However, you can go to the second apron when you win an NBA champion, and you can go to the second apron when you got your starting 5 back, and you can go to the second apron when you have the ability to retain your free agents, which New York does. And that's what I'm expecting to happen this summer. Have a great Sunday. We will talk soon.
All right, so shout out to Bobby Marks for the breakdown, man, letting us know what it's really like to be in a second apron. You heard the closing statements from Bobby Marks, because I couldn't have said it better myself. The second apron are for championship teams who have a locked-in starting five and a couple of bench players that they know are irreplaceable, and most likely you could fill the rest of the roster out with vet minimums. When we think about the vet minimum aspect when it comes to the New York Knicks, I don't think it's going to be as hard as it used to be to get players on a vet minimum to come to the New York Knicks, because the pressure's gone. The New York Knicks have already made history. The worry that, I'm going to be the guy on this bench or whatever, I can't take a reduced role because I'm not really sure if Jalen Brunson's the guy, or I'm not really sure if this organization can win a championship because they haven't been able to win it in 53 years. You know, the comments from Kyrie and KD and all of them not wanting to come to New York. Those worries are gone now. The New York Knicks have captured the championship. And their other players are going to see what it's like for these players in New York now that they were able to accomplish the mission. You saw how it was during the playoffs with James Dolan, even in the regular season. Once a Knick, always a Knick. So even if you were a bench player for a year or two and you took a vet minimum to help the Knicks repeat as champion, you'll always be a Knick. And even if you don't do that, most likely, as long as you've donned the jersey, you will always be a Knick. You will always have that appreciation within the organization, not named Charles Oakley, apparently. Get that Charles Oakley thing fixed. But what I'm saying is it might be a little bit easier for the Knicks to build this team with vet minimums, with players who want to become part of the championship dynasty that the New York Knicks are trying to build. And another thing, why it would be enticing to free agents is due to how the New York Knicks play. Like, the New York Knicks play together. It could be anybody's night on any given night. It could be Karl-Anthony Towns. It could be OG Anunoby. It could be Mikal Bridges. It could be Josh Hart. Josh Hart has had a 26-point game during the course of these playoffs, even though most games he didn't give them a lot of scoring output. Seen Josh Hart do that. Then you go to the bench. Miles McBride has a 28-point game in a closeout game against Philly. Then you have Landry Shamet coming off the bench, hitting 3 threes a game, giving you around 15 points. Then you have guys like Jose Alvarado that's been put in there during a clutch situation, closing moment for the New York Knicks. And that's not even to mention Ariel Haporti being thrown in there when Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns are in foul trouble when they're doing hack-a-Mitch. Mike Brown has shown that as long as you can contribute and as long as you know the system and you know your role, he will use you. And he is a collaborative coach. He will listen to his players and listen to his coaches on how's the best way to utilize a guy that used to make $10 million, but now he's on the vet minimum. It seems like the New York Knicks will find a way to make him happy and give him playing time. So I think the New York Knicks will have a better job at getting vet minimums going forward. So that's not a concern. Here's the concern. How does James Dolan feel about this team? That's where this begins, and that's where this ends. James Dolan had all faith in his team to win the NBA Finals. He's had all the faith in it. He's been very vocal that he felt like this team had the capabilities of winning the NBA Finals, and they have accomplished that. And not only have they accomplished that, they did that in dominant fashion. Whatever argue you want to make against it, it doesn't change the fact that the New York Knicks won this championship in dominant fashion. Record-breaking performance. If you want to poo-poo it, go ahead. But it doesn't change the fact. It doesn't change the numbers. James Dolan knows that as well. So that's what it's going to come down to. How does James Dolan feel about this team? James Dolan has rabbit ears too. Let's not pretend like James, just because he's gone and he hasn't, messed anything up, and he's let Leon Rose run the organization. Let's not pretend that James Dolan doesn't have rabbit ears, that he doesn't hear what pundits are saying is that, no, you cannot run this thing back. 8 of the last 9 champions have not repeat. That will be a mistake. You need to upgrade. Do not run this back. Does James Dolan hear that? And he's like, there's no way going into the second apron? Another question. I don't think this is happening, but I wouldn't put anything past James Dolan. Could it be possible that now that the New York Knicks won the championship with this roster, and like I said, he's hearing that you need to upgrade this roster, is it possible that James Dolan is like, y'all won the chip, y'all did it together, good job, but that guy Giannis is really good. Could that be a possibility with James Dolan, which is why he's saying this? Because it really makes you question his statement when we hear how Bobby Marks talks about the second apron. It doesn't seem like if James Dolan wanted to run this back and pay Mitchell Robinson and pay Jose Alvarado and pay Landry Shamet, he could retool the rest of the team with vet minimum contracts, and the New York Knicks will be just fine. They'll still be the favorites in the East to return to the NBA Finals. We'll see what happens with Giannis. I'm sure that'll change that. If he goes to Boston or if he goes to Miami, I still believe that the New York Knicks are the favorites, whatever. But in my opinion, the New York Knicks are favored as presently constructed to get back to the NBA Finals. And I'm going to be perfectly real with you. I think they should be favorites to repeat. The team has shown no ability to have any type of championship hangover. I understand we still got to see that. But if we're hearing everything we're hearing about Jalen Brunson, the leader of the team, the guy that took a $110 million pay cut, even though it's only like around $57 million with taxes. Shout out to Stephen A. for throwing that little tidbit out there, cuts it in half. But still, it's $57 million that Jalen Brunson left on the table for the New York Knicks to construct a championship roster around them, bringing guys like Josh Hart, bringing guys like Mikal Bridges, bringing guys like OG Anunoby to get them paid, to bringing guys like Jose Alvarado and them to get them paid, try to keep Mitchell Robinson on this squad for another season. That's the sacrifice that Jalen Brunson has made. And he's going to be due next season. I don't see him doing it again. He's going to be paid next season in the offseason. That's when his contract extension most likely will be signed. But if you want to run this thing back, according to Bobby Marks, it shouldn't be an issue. So the main question is, does James Dolan want to do that? We'll find out. We will certainly find out, man. But salute to everybody tuning in. Go and drop a flex bomb for you, man. Go to drop a flex bomb. Salute to everybody tuning in. Appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Because you already know the slogan, man. I better see all Let's Go Knicks in the chat. Shout out to the replay gang. Make sure you rock with your boy, like and subscribe. But we're going to get out of here, man. And we appreciate y'all. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with me. And I appreciate that, man. I'm going to see you guys next time. I'm supposed to be on vacation, but forget all that. Let's get to work. Let's Blackout.